Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 20th of 2020, and ever since the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fans have been very curious about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney and Lucasfilm, to see exactly how they're going to handle the Star Wars franchise as we go throughout this entire decade of the 2020s, to see also exactly how the new Star Wars universe is going to shape itself up. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about Disney Star Wars is that we do know that it's going under major changes as we speak, all thanks to the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, for really approving specific ideas and concepts to make their way over to Lucasfilm, to really propel fans into a new era of Star Wars. Now, when we look at Star Wars in general, obviously the Skywalker saga in the sequel trilogy itself had a lot of flaws by Disney, especially with The Last Jedi. That one movie alone caused a great divide between fans because of what Rian Johnson implemented into the Star Wars universe. Now, when we look ahead as to exactly what Chapek really wants to do, there are all these concepts in order to really change the Star Wars franchise and to really evolve it as we know it in order to create a more positive route for this brand that Disney really wants to make more successful than ever before. Now, on top of all of this, what's really intriguing is, of course, the fact that George Lucas has something to do with this as well, about this huge reset to the Star Wars franchise. And what's really intriguing is that now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters, many fans around the world have been very curious about the future of Star Wars by Disney and Lucasfilm, where currently Disney has multiple plans in place in order to create a better future for the franchise moving forward. Now, it's noted that the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, just initiated a major plan that is now in the early works that involves George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau, where many of Star Wars legends will be making a return sometime next year in 2021, and that many retcons will be made to the sequel trilogy era of the films. It's noted that this plan is aimed to reset the Star Wars franchise entirely when it comes to the Star Wars lore and the canon material, and that Lucasfilm is hard at work on making this happen for next year. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are now said to have full creative control over the new eras that will be introduced and taken from Star Wars legends, and that George Lucas will be the one who approves specific concepts that will make it over to the Disney canon material for Star Wars. This is said to be Chapek's plan in order to create a new take on Star Wars, where not just that, but George Lucas will also be heavily involved in introducing many of the retcons for the sequels, prequels, and even originals that will be used in the new Star Wars universe. This plan by George Lucas that was given a go by the new Disney CEO is to change the sequel trilogy entirely. Fans are worried on exactly how this will work by Disney. However, Chapek and George are said to be very confident in this decision. So the thing about them bringing back Star Wars legends and introducing all these different retcons for the sequel trilogy, and even partially in the prequels and the originals to make it connect more so to the sequel trilogy era, I think it just tells us that Chapek really wants to create a better future for this franchise and really wants to create his own legacy, right? We've seen Bob Iger, in his flaws of how he handled Disney Star Wars. In fact, a lot of flaws out there. The fact that he did not, pretty much interrupt Kathleen Kennedy after The Last Jedi, and even defended the fact that there was no backlash against The Last Jedi at the time, back in December of 2017, when he was giving that interview in February of 2018, a little while before Solo came out. Now, the thing about everything related to what Chapek and George are doing is that this big Star Wars reset is not just going to be bringing back Star Wars Legends material, but it's also going to be introducing a lot of retcons. Now, we've seen a prime example of what retcons really do. The novelization introduced to us the fact that Palpatine was really a clone in the Rise of Skywalker movie itself, through the novelization, of course, you have to read it, and that the Snoke clones are just abominations of Palpatine clones. And you do learn that Snoke was a pawn of Palpatine and was also a Palpatine clone. So all of these different things really do change how you view The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, either in a negative or a positive sense. Now, the retcons that are going to be coming our way are going to be more well thought out. thanks to Georeg Lucas now being on board with all of this and introducing these different retcons for The Rise of Skywalker, to me, I think it really does spell that they're trying their very best in order to really give the fans something else to look forward to, something else to really enjoy here. And the thing about Episode 9 is that, yes, it was a movie that had a very tough production, and yes, it was a movie that had a lot of flaws, especially in the first and second acts. I mean, to me at least, it was a movie that felt very convoluted and rushed and just all out of the place and not in order. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, let me know what you think about everything related to these retcons and to them reviving Star Wars Legends and how George, John, and Dave are involved in all of this as well, and how this was all introduced by Bob Chapek. So with that being said, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.